Released in 2002, Losing My Edge was the debut single of band LCD Soundsystem. LCD Soundsystem's entire career has been incredibly influential in the world of contemporary music, having had a massive impact on both indie and mainstream music scenes. But this track specifically, Losing My Edge, was the place where LCD Soundsystem began to develop their unique stylistic blend of dance and punk that formed a key part of their influential sound. Zooming in on New York in the year 2002, the new century had just arrived. George W. Bush was the President of America, declaring a war on terror following the September 11 attacks, and the word hipster had been increasingly used to refer to a subculture of young adults who pursued alternative arts and lifestyles, reflecting the increasing exponential growth and fracturing of countless music and arts subcultures catalyzed by the rise of the internet. The internet age had been radically reshaping the musical industry. Suddenly, small artists and independent music labels could reach much wider audiences than previously possible, forever shifting the dynamics between artist, label, and audience, lowering the entrance barrier, expanding the access, and widening the reach. This is the world that Losing My Edge was born out of and shaped by, and the world that it explicitly is in conversation with. James Murphy, 32 at the time, after having spent a large portion of his 20s self-described as a sad, pathetic failure, had begun to become relatively popular in the music scene as a DJ, playing a unique mix of old rock and new dance. However, this gave way to an internal crisis after noticing much younger DJs beginning to deliver similar sets as him in the scene. It was the introspection that followed this emotional reaction that set the landscape for Losing My Edge. Both parodying and extending sincerity to this younger generation of hipsters, Losing My Edge is a song born out of the rising popular culture from the perspective of someone who was beginning to feel edged out by it. Recorded in the DIY studio at the DFA headquarters, and managed by the small independent label, the technological advancements of the DAW and desktop computer had made it a lot easier for artists and independent labels to build their own studios and produce at a level previously a lot less accessible, especially for a band that utilizes both a lot of older as well as newer modern technology, contributing to the DIY aesthetic of this track. Stylistically, this piece has been described as having a dance punk sound. It utilizes both live drums and a drum machine, vocals, and synthesizers. Structurally, the song is difficult to neatly categorize. It follows a long-form, very sprawling structure, which is a lot closer to what might be expected from an electronic dance track or club DJ set, unfolding almost like a stream of consciousness rather than being comprised of distinct chorus-verse-bridge sections. Due to this nature of the song, in order to gain maximum insight into the piece, it feels a lot more useful to analyze the structure through the lens of dance conventions, as well as focusing on the flow of energy level and use of texture and layers throughout as structural markers, instead of attempting to extract clear, distinct sections that use traditional pop markers, such as changes in harmony or melody. This track unfolds as a slow build, adding layers of chaotic synths to build energy and texture towards the climax of the piece, which is marked by the highest energy level point in the drum, synth, and vocal parts, as well as the most dense texture, with the entrance and exit of various repetitive layers resembling compositional techniques often utilized by DJs. The snare and hi-hats of the live drum kit provide a constant, steady pulse throughout the entire track, while the kick drum follows the pattern of the synth bass line. Overall, the live drum part resembles something of a typical disco beat, while the drum machine part offers some syncopation, adding rhythmic interest. Utilizing music production and audio processing techniques, the heavy compression on the drums, distortion on the synths, aggressive dynamics, and speech-like vocals contribute to the more punk sound of the track. This combination of dance musical conventions, DJ-like compositional techniques, punk rock sound palette, and ethos, DIY construction and production were all a direct product of the technological advancements and economical dynamics of the time, and the emotional landscape or particular stylistic blends would not have come together without the cultural landscape and social dynamics that birthed it. Losing My Edge provides a rich case study on how inseparable a work is from the technology, economy, and culture of its time, even when, or perhaps especially when, it is pushing boundaries and revolutionizing the scene.